Blue Monday. It happens every year on the third Monday of January. It's a time when reality sets in and millions of people start feeling the weight of post-Christmas credit debt. You may be shoveling snow this week, but how do you dig yourself out of that debt? Well, joining us is John Nicholas. He's author of Debt Free ASAP. Mr. Nicholas is also a pastor and former pro football player. John, it's good to talk with you. So for many Americans, the bills for Christmas, those purchases, they're starting to come in. Inflation is rising, now at an annual rate of 7%, and it may be a bit more difficult this year. But where do we start, John?
Well, we start with assessing our situation. And I'm going to just say there's three basic steps. And this comes from my personal experience as a high-flying entrepreneur who ran into some very serious debt in between ventures, as well as working inside the debt relief industry. So this is not just, one person's idea. This is after dealing with people from every situation, every background throughout America. Three basic steps: assess your situation, review your options, and create a plan with whatever support you need to succeed. So I would say we would start at the first step, Gary, and that would be assessing your situation. How do you do that properly? Any ideas?
Well, and when it comes to credit cards, I'd say start with those higher interest cards first.
Well, I'll tell you what, for most people, and this may sound strange because some people follow their finances to the penny. I would tell you that the vast majority of Americans do not, especially those who are struggling, because there's all kinds of issues of life. There's unemployment, there's health issues, there's taking care of grandma or kids that are having trouble, or divorce or separation. There's so many different conditions that can lead to significant debt that it's overwhelming. And I can just tell you, I've had people crying on the phone because of the emotions. It's embarrassing. People feel shame. And it can just be something where they close the desk drawer and they don't even look. So the first thing is you got to see where you're at. And, I offer free forms to help people do this, but you can just get a list and list every one of your obligations, even cars, homes, or anything like that. But really the credit cards, of course, personal credit lines, anything like that. You have to get visibility. That may sound basic, but that's where it starts.
John, I know for many millennials and other young people, it's hard to pay rent or mortgage, utility bills, food, raise kids, as you mentioned, especially if they have massive student loan debt. You attended an Ivy League school, and I know tuition there isn't cheap at Brown, so student debt can be almost like having a second mortgage. So what can people do about that?
Yes, many are saddled with heavy student loans, and those loans are what I would call good debt. They're low interest, they're high value, generally speaking, but they squeeze you on every other front. And so a lot of times we find people who are using credit cards for food or just basic living expenses because there just isn't room. When that's the case, again, you have to see where you're at, get a good review of your accounts, then you can look at some options. And like you said a minute ago, maybe you go after your high interest, obligations first. Maybe you just go after your lowest balances, because those are the ones that give you momentum and some encouragement as you pay them off. But there's other things to consider. There's consolidation programs or loans. There's hardship programs. There's settlement programs by yourself or with help. And there's even bankruptcy issues that may fit certain people's situations, even though there's a heavy stigma that people feel about it. It stems from biblical laws back in Leviticus, to give, to free slaves, to forgive debts, to return lands to original owners and things like that. So it's inspired at least by the grace of God. During this last couple of years, because of the unemployment, the lost jobs, damaged businesses, divorces, separations, health issues, these are the things that cause significant debt. We're not talking about, oh, I'm just a little late on, I ran up my card a little bit for the holidays. There's at least 50% of Americans who don't have $500 in an emergency situation. And they're usually just strung out with lots of different kinds of debt. And so I'm trying to help you, whether you have a little debt or you've got a serious problem, because there's options for each.
You're a former pro football player, so who are you picking to win the Super Bowl this year?
Wow. I guess I would lean towards the Buccaneers or the Chiefs. I guess that's how I'm seeing it, although there's dangerous teams everywhere you look. So Green Bay is no slouch, and even that San Francisco team is very, very physical. That's a tough group to play.
Yeah, they took care of Dallas there. Okay,
Yes,
the book is Debt-Free ASAP. John Nicholas, thank you for sharing your insights. We appreciate it.
You got it. Nice speaking with you, Gary. Thank you.